Alright. Hello. This is going to be an unscripted video, just me talking about God of War. Uh, it's unscripted for the most part, but I'm going to have a notepad over here just to, kind of keep it on topic here. The topics we're going to cover: the narrative, combat, traversal, all of that. So, that's kind of just what I want to talk about. But I have the game pulled up here to reference and just kind of show. But I'm going to put a link to this video in the description. It's probably better that you just watch the game. Don't spend your money on it. It's not worth it. It's pretty much just DLC, honestly. I'm going to say that, but I have very good reasons for this. I'm going to talk about this throughout the video. So, the main thing is they don't really change very much. But narratively, we kick off. Honestly think that this would have been a better father-son story. And just like the last game, that's what they wanted to do. In this game, I feel like they really forced the Aesir interaction. It doesn't really make sense. I know that they kind of wanted to do this since the last game because, killing Baldur starts Fimbulwinter and all of that. I understand that. But honestly, in both games, the Aesir interaction feels very forced. And it's not very organic. There are many ways that they could have got these characters to interact without it feeling so rushed. And just having a time skip does not justify it. But anyways, we have the first narrative beat. I'm just going to be covering the main stuff. I'm not going to be covering all the little moments from the narrative because this will drag on for way too long. This game is way too long. So let's just get to the moment where Thor shows up. Let's see here. I can't even see it. Thor and Odin at the start of the game here.
War.
Fuck.
War is coming.
War.
Whatever Loki's supposed to be doing, he's supposed to be doing it now. My story doesn't end hiding in these woods.
Alright, here we go. Yada yada yada. I like that Kratos, does not want war. That's nice. And, throughout this whole interaction, a lot of people criticize the, game developers just for this scene, saying that it doesn't really make sense why Kratos would refuse Odin when he could play his hand and, tell Odin he could manipulate Odin basically. And that's honestly just not who Kratos is. If you played the last games, you would know this. Kratos is pretty honest to brutal point. I mean, he doesn't lie for the most part unless it comes to Pandora, He threw her in the fucking fire, fuck that girl, but even in that game, you could tell that they really wanted to have some sort of redeeming moment for Kratos, which was really weird. But in these games, it's a lot more pronounced, and it's a huge story element. But it makes more sense to me that Kratos would refuse these gods because of the deals he's made with Ares in the past and the other gods. They've all betrayed him. They all lied to him. He's lost more than he's gained from the deals. So to him, taking a deal from Odin is like a vulnerability. It's something to be feared. It's something he's letting go. He's going to be, at a disadvantage. And Odin even wants to mend their thing with Freya. Excuse me.
How about we just don't kill each other?
But throughout this whole interaction, you can tell Odin is a liar. He is just saying anything he can to get Kratos to do what he wants. But Kratos does not listen. Thor is just here to intimidate. And as you can see, he's Odin's dog. When Odin says to attack, Thor attacks. When Kratos says no,
About time.
Thor attacks. And for no other reason than being ignorant, either. Thor's service to Odin doesn't even really make any sense outside of maybe an abusive father-son relationship. Past that, I can't really see any logic to why he's listening to Odin. And he can't even come to the realization that it's toxic for his family on his own. He has to have somebody like Atreus feed him that information, even though he's hundreds, if not thousands of years old at this point. I don't even know. It's just strange. Then you have, Kratos fighting Thor, holding back all of that. So I'm just going to skip past that because this doesn't really matter to me. But they continue to look for Tyr, and they find, Tyr Odin. Spoilers, what? Tyr Odin, but no, I'm going to be talking about everything. This is a review. They find Tyr Odin, which I don't even know where to begin about talking about this character because not even character. I mean, it's Odin, but I can't believe nothing comes from this. Why does nothing come from this? Odin is such an intelligent, cunning man to even be able to come up with an idea like this. And what comes from him? What information? Out of all the information, all the time he had to prepare, all the time he knew Kratos was coming, he did nothing. What he did in the end was put innocence aside along the wall. And that's it. That's the only thing he could have, he did to prepare. Other than that, there was nothing. I thought Odin was going to get the upper hand during the final battle at some point, possibly. He was going to do something. I was expecting something during the final battle. The entire time I was expecting us to change landscape. I was expecting Kratos to maybe even find the error in his ways, maybe save Asgard and the innocents, realizing that war, it really isn't the right way. It doesn't help anybody. It only creates more spilt milk, I guess. You kill my family, I kill your family. It's just like every single time. It's blood for blood. But that really isn't covered. The Asgardian people are grateful for some reason that Kratos just upended their entire world and killed Odin. They don't care. Sif and Thrud they're just chilling. They're not mad. They're here to rebuild Asgard in Valhalla with the Vanir that they've been warring against for hundreds of years. Anyways, but I'm getting off topic. I'm talking about the end of the game a little bit too soon here, but we got to get through this part of the game first. I just want to cover this. We find Freyr because, we want to, whatever. Yeah, Atreus visits Angerboda. I don't know if I can even, from a gameplay perspective, this is trash. 3 hours of my time in this stupid fucking place where nothing but narrative exposition, excuse me, is shoved down your throat. It's unbelievable. I'm gonna take a drink. But that's not even the worst of it. I mean, I'm just going to leave it at that. That's all that really needs to be said about the Atreus section. His gameplay is horrible. It's trash. It's not really thought up of. It's pretty much the same shit that Kratos has. Press these buttons to do this combo. Do the same shit over and over and over again. Nothing mechanically interesting at all. Then they do these traversal sections, which everybody hates. Literally just cutscene. I mean, it's not even fun. Just hold forward. And then you have the story with Angerboda and her grandma. And honestly, I really like when I first played this game. I will say this. Let me talk about a couple of good things about the game. I will say this. I really enjoyed the character interactions. If they just wanted to make a story, that's great. But the narrative overarching these characters sucks. And I don't know who wrote it, but they need to be fired. Well, maybe not fired, but just they need to relive their. They need to think about it. You know, these guys have made great games in the past with great stories. They obviously know what they're doing, so I'm not going to say that he doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Maybe he's just a little lost. Excuse me. But this Angry Motor section sucks. It's horrible, boring, not well thought out. It sucks, and it only serves as motivation for him to want to go to Asgard in the end. To prevent the prophecy. That's the only thing that comes from this. Excuse me. I'm a little sick as well. Um, he only wants to prevent his father's death. That's the only reason he goes. And then, and it doesn't make any sense. Everybody's telling him there's no reason for you to do that. There's no logical reason to go to Asgard. All these questions, all these characters telling him not to do it. Everybody's against this idea, and you have him do it anyway. So, I don't even know. I don't know. And then, let's see here. Yeah, we have this. He visits Freya, and he wants her to, mend the relationship with Kratos and everything because of what Kratos said to him. And that was back here, but I'll just talk about that now since it matters now. And we have Freya come in and Kratos and her fight, and then she just asks him to help her for whatever reason. It's super forced, super weird. And they just make up. And that's it. There's no... I guess they have nice moments where they talk to each other, Kratos and Freya, and they, he's trying to help her get her stuff back, and find Odin's thing or whatever to allow her to return to Valheim. And yeah, that entire section sucks. Then we have Atreus going to Asgard. Here we go. Next major beat. This is what I want to talk about. For some reason, it makes sense for his character to go to Asgard just to stop Kratos' death, which he could just tell Kratos about because he already knows, but Atreus wants to hide it from him because, he thinks that, I don't know. We don't know what he thinks. But yeah, everybody tells him it's a bad idea. There's nothing good that can come from this. Even Odin Tyr says, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And nothing even comes from it in the story either. There's nothing that comes from it. Nothing good. And even Heimdall says it. Heimdall's like, what good could possibly... It's like the game developers knew it wasn't even a smart idea, and they still did it. What good could him being there? Like, other than interacting with Thor, which could have even been done differently, honestly. And you just have him completing the mask for Odin, and the mask has no... Another point with the mask I'm going to make. Let's talk about that for a second. When you have a story element like the mask, when you could just take it out of the story and it changes nothing, it shouldn't even be there. The mask has no big impact on the story. The only thing, there's no reason at all Loki, Atreus, would choose the mask over his father. I guess that's the prophecy-defying moment where Atreus chooses his father over Odin, but there's no reason Atreus would have ever wanted to keep the mask and help Odin. There's just no reason. They didn't set it up. There's no natural, organic reason that would have ever happened. And nothing good possibly comes from him being there. In fact, he only helps Odin to accomplish his goal. And then you have, you know, Kratos visiting the Norns and creating the Dropnir Spear, and, you know, with Freya. But, I mean, Freya's whole thing is forced into the story, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later. She's literally only there because they need her to win. Like, they could not have won the final battle without her help. Odin is just that powerful. So they create the Dropnir Spear and have really nice talk, you know, between Brock and Kratos, and that's really a nice section. And you know, I like the whole story with um, Brock and Sindri, where he brings him back to life. You know, they really give a lot more of the character's flaws in this game, unlike the other game, because Mimir didn't really have any flaws. You know, Freya had few flaws. Brock and Sindri had no flaws. I mean, they all were just kind of perfect, you know. And now in this game, Mimir has his, you know, the dwarven mines and all this other stuff, and the trapped animals and the abuse. And Freya has, you know, her own thing. I mean, she's always had her own problem or whatever. But then Brock and Sindri, you know, with the Britain, you know, Sindri's thing of bringing back to life, and you know, some other things. There's some other things that I'll not even bother mentioning because they're unimportant. But yeah, pretty much just more character development in this game, which I can appreciate. So that's always nice. And then you know, you have Atreus returning. You know, this major fuck up of letting Garm out. I mean, man, we gotta talk about that. How do you justify him fucking up that bad? Just because it's an animal that's chained up. And then you have Odin this is fucking weird too. You could have taken this out and it would have changed nothing. Odin interacting with Kratos. Anyways, this major fuck up, it's a big deal. So Kratos and Atreus go and try to fix this pretty immediately. You know, time does run slower in Hell, so I'm thinking maybe it didn't take them that long. But just think about the thousands of innocents that could have died in the time it took them to get there because of the Hellwalkers. And that isn't even really explored at all. I mean, there could have been so many more consequences for this. We could have seen, because of the time differentiation, the dilation, you know, because the time flows differently here, we could have had Hellwalker random interactions throughout the game, or something like that. Or, I don't know, they could have done something with it to show the effects that it had on the world, but apparently nothing came from it. You know, there's no characters that died in a Hellwalker attack or anything like that. So they fixed it up quick. No consequences. So they return and then have a talk about Atreus going back to Asgard for no reason, to complete the mask and to maybe be able to stop it, saying it's their best play when their best play is to actually do nothing. They have all the power in the situation. They have Gjallarhorn. They have the army. They have Ragnarok. Other than the fact that Odin knows the true prophecy now and can now prepare for it. I mean, so Odin does have cards, but other than going back and completing the mask for him, like, there's no good reason to do that. And now all of a sudden the characters are all in agreement, just thinking like, oh yeah, it's our best play. Even though they were so against it before, and they really did not want Atreus to go there. So that makes no sense narratively. There's no reason why Atreus would have gone there. It doesn't make sense for his character whatsoever. And then we have, you know, us getting Freya back and everything like that. Or Freyr, I mean. And then, you know, you have Heimdall. He's just there to kill. I mean, he provides no interest. I mean, which I would really wish they would have talked about why Kratos is able to kill Heimdall as well, other than just having the spear. Because it doesn't really make any sense. Because once Heimdall knows about the spear, I mean, he can just avoid it. But you could say, oh, Kratos, you know, he's such a developed warrior. He's been alive for hundreds of years, if not thousands. We don't really know. At least I don't know how old Kratos is. But he could probably get in the flow state like an athlete and just not think. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to think to be able to fight when you're this developed. So that could make sense. Other than that, I really wish they would have explained this better. And they get Freyr back, and, you know, then have a really insignificant side character die. That's nice. Excuse me. And we have this whole side story with Thor. Let me talk about this. I have an idea for how this could have worked out a lot better if they really wanted to do two different stories. They could have had Thor as a playable character instead of Atreus. That way we could have experienced maybe Thor going through, you know, all these realms, trying to get, you know, this mask pieces for Odin and making it more impactful for the character. Like, he's really working. We could have heard maybe the inner monologue of him and stuff. You know, maybe Atreus could have been kidnapped and forced to translate this stuff. Or maybe Odin is actually smart enough to translate it on his own. You know, maybe, I don't know. They could have done so many different things. And this is another thing I wanted to address with Freya. Like, they could have, because, you know, Atreus might have been kidnapped, they could have maybe had Freya, you know, Kratos reach out to Freya because he needs her help, you know, after all. But, you know, no. It's inorganic. It's forced. They have to come together in order to beat Odin. Why? Because the only motivation they have is Brock getting killed. That's why. Other than that, they're just preparing for a battle they don't want. And then, finally, when which honestly was a very tragic moment. I was, you know, a tear maybe came to my eye in this moment. Maybe. I will say that. Maybe came to my eye, you know, Brock is a beloved character, and I like how he stands up to Tyr, and I like the Tyr reveal. And I like the idea behind Tyr being Odin, but nothing comes from it. There's no reason for Tyr to be Odin other than this one instance. Odin doesn't prepare with any of the knowledge that he gained. Odin doesn't do anything. The only thing that he does is put those innocent Asgardians along the walls to be killed. To maybe stop Kratos. And that doesn't do anything to him. But yeah. Then another thing. Here we have Surtur, who literally refuses them flat out before they even say anything. You know, he knows why they're there. And they force us into this little combat encounter, which I don't really understand. If they wanted to, like, if they wanted to just have us fight something here, like, for a final thing, like, they could have just done something else. I'm just curious why he just suddenly, as soon as he sees the Blades of Chaos, he's like, oh, well, yep, it's okay, we'll create Ragnarok now, it's fine. Like, why does he even bother refusing us at first? It just doesn't make sense. Like, even little stuff like this, it doesn't make any sense. Like, and then in the spark of the world, then Odin's best shot, Odin's thing that he, like, his final thing to stop us from creating Ragnarok is sending 2 Valkyries. That's it? Like, That's it. I mean, I know that maybe they didn't have the budget to bring very many other gods into this game or whatever. I don't know what the ideology was behind this, but they just send two Valkyries to stop you. It's a little ridiculous. And then we prepare for Ragnarok, which, gathering the armies and everything, and having Freyr, like get the elves out of the stout, like, which a lot of people have criticized them for again, which was having Freyr come back and just have them already have resolved the 100-year or 1,000-year war. I don't even know how long it is. Just because he's Freyr and everybody loves Freyr. All the elves love Freyr. It's a little ridiculous. I think that having the armies, come in together and stuff could have been its own whole game. I really wish that they would have finished the father-son story as its own thing, because obviously that's what they wanted to do. That's what they wanted to do. That's the whole point of this. They wanted to make a story about a father and son, but instead they also wanted to make a story about Kratos fighting the Aesir gods. It doesn't really make much sense. The Aesir gods really feel like a backseat between, Kratos and Atreus' dynamic. It just doesn't make much sense. And then you have fucking the final battle. It feels so insignificant. Truthfully, it really does. It feels so boring. Let's see here if I can't find it. I really like Thor's side story, I'll say that too. As I said, which was it could have been handled much better. And to that end, I think, like I said, it could have been its own gameplay section with Thor coming to his own conclusion instead of being told by literally everybody that Odin was bad. I mean, like, it's fucking ridiculous that they have this guy be such an idiot in this story. Like, he can't even, after being hundreds of years old, he can't even come to his own conclusion that Odin is maybe not a good person. Maybe he's tortured you. Maybe he's, made things horrible for your family. Maybe he's divided you. Maybe he's done horrible, horrible things. And I mean, Thor can't even come to this kind of conclusion on his own. Some of these characters in the story don't really make much sense, honestly. I'm really disappointed that Thor's story ends with Odin stabbing him once he realizes what he's done. It really, I feel like it shits all over the character, and it maybe makes it. They just wanted to make a tragic moment. I mean, I don't really know why. Uh, I don't know where I. It says I paused the the thing somehow. I don't know how I paused my recording. Anyways, what I was saying was, I don't even the final fight I was super disappointed with, because where you have this amazing being like Odin who can transcend time and space and literally walk in all the realms. We stay on this stone circular platform. Like, are you serious? Like, I don't get it. I was expecting him to gain the upper hand the entire fight and take us somewhere new or do something. But the only time I got that was when Freya put the noose around his neck when he was about to gut Atreus and Kratos, or because he just has some overpowered magic that can keep him stationary somehow. I don't even know. I don't like powers that are not explained, kind of like that, but where he can just. I don't even know what that is. I guess it's just for a story beat to get Freya her time, but I really wish it was executed better, I guess I could say. But yeah, then you have Kratos wanting to be better. You would think maybe that to that end he would try to stop Ragnarok. I thought that that's what would be maybe the final boss fight, since this one sucked so bad. Maybe he wanted to stop Ragnarok, save this world from fucking getting destroyed. And no, he doesn't. He doesn't care. They just sacrifice Freyr and just escape. And then they hold a funeral for Brock, and that's like the end of the game. So, yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in all of that. So there we go. We have the narrative pretty much marked off. I'll probably talk about it a little bit more later on. Just, in general, there are probably pieces, but I'm going to keep talking. I had to get some water. That's why I paused it. I don't know where it went off at, but let's talk about the combat. First thing I want to mention, the skill tree, half of it is literally the exact same from the first game. I don't even know how I could explain to you how disappointing that is, because I don't even know. It's like a Ubisoft game or something. I don't know. Anyways, no new moves, no nothing different about the original 2 weapons we got in the 2018 game. No, nothing changed with the combat other than the Draupnir spear. And all the weapons feel kind of samey to me. They just have one special move or a throw that's different. And even then, it feels kind of repetitive. All the weapons take the same button inputs to do the same kind of combos. All the weapons have the same button inputs to do the special moves. All the weapons have this to do the same thing. Like, it's all the same thing. You're just pressing the same buttons the whole game. There's mainly really one combo with each weapon that is the most damaging and most stunning. And yes, you can mix them up by rolling and doing, kind of animation cancels and stuff, but that's the extent of the combat intricacy. It's not mechanically interesting whatsoever. And here, I'll just go ahead and return to black screen here, because I don't really feel like I need to show anything here at this point. It's not mechanically interesting whatsoever. It's not smart or intelligent, or it's boring. It's boring. It's like a cutscene. It's just something that I have to do. It's a chore to get through, just like the rest of the game. And I'm going to I feel like that's really all I even need to say about the combat. It's boring. It's boring. It can be fun for the first 20 minutes, but it's just like the last game. It's pretty much the same thing. Once you play it, you know what to expect. There's nothing new. Traversal. I like the fact that they want to try to have character interactions with traversal and all that, and they want to make it, something narratively interesting, I guess. But it's not got a place in a game. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It doesn't have a place in a video game where player agency and player interactivity is number one king. That does not have a place in a video game. Climbing a wall and holding fucking up on my stick is not interesting. It's not. It's not gameplay. It's not gameplay. It's a cutscene. I don't want to watch a cutscene. I had to watch a video or do something while I was playing this game nearly the entire time. No matter what I was doing, I had to be doing something else because this game's so interesting. I really wanted it to be fun, but it wasn't. It wasn't fun. I forced myself to play it. And even when I started doing the side content because it was boring, I just wanted to finish the game. I just wanted to finish it, which is never a good thing. You never want to just get through it. I could never enjoy what I was doing. because of how mundane and boring everything was. Even the puzzles. And I haven't even talked about the puzzles yet. Oh my god, the puzzles. The puzzles suck. They're like 5-year-old elementary puzzles. They're not smart. They're not thought provoking. They don't do anything. They don't add to the gameplay experience. When you put something that's adds to the gameplay, you want it to do something with the gameplay. You want it to be interesting. You want it every time you experience that thing, you want it to be different a little bit so that the player has some expectation, but they need to grow and change with that expectation, Then their expectations need to rise as the game continues. There needs to be something different. There needs to be something to engage the player. But there's not. The past games. Let's talk about the past games in the franchise. I'm talking about the original trilogy. What compared it to this game? They already wanted to redeem Kratos. I don't get why that people have a problem with that in this game. It seems like I've seen a lot of reviews with people talking about how they just want Kratos to be a mindless killer and they like his humble, his story arc or whatever, but they just want to kill people and be, which honestly can't say that I agree with. It's just mindless garbage. I have never understood how that could be, narratively provoking whatsoever. I mean, they just want the gameplay, but they don't want, the story, it seems like. Because it wouldn't make sense for him to still be like that after all this time. I mean, are you the same person you were 10 years ago? No. And I mean, Kratos has been alive for hundreds of years. So, it doesn't really make much sense. The narrative in the old games was always strong throughout. In the first game, he literally sacrificed his soul to be able to win so that he could keep his troops alive and everything. He sacrificed his soul to the gods. Partly to save his own life. I mean, yes, of course it was to save his own life. But I mean, I'm not even going to go too in depth on the old games. I just wanted to address, I feel like newer people that are coming to the franchise, or maybe even older people that have had the franchise, are saying that they just want a mindless Kratos. I just can't say that I agree. Maybe that's just their personal opinion. I respect that, but it doesn't make sense for the character. It doesn't make sense. The 2018 game, I like the 2018 game for what it was. Since it was their first try to reboot, I give it a pass, I guess, kind of. Because I want it to be good, but it was extremely repetitive. It had a way bigger problem with repetition, even more than this game. They had like a few enemy types. This game kind of improves, but basically most of, if not all of the enemies act the exact same. Block this. You can't dodge. You can't parry this. You can't block this. Dodge this. Look out for this enemy. They are going to be a pain in your ass. That's it. That's the depth. And the 2018 game, it does its thing and it does it well, but it's still bad. I would probably give this game the 2018 game, I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 7. The new Ragnarok game, I'd probably give like a 3. That's how bad I think it is. As a sequel, it's a good game on its own. If it didn't have the 2018 game behind it, have already had the the layout, the blueprint for a new game. If they improved, then it would be different. But they already had the blueprint for the same kind of concept, but they didn't improve on it whatsoever, which makes this the worst sequel I've ever seen. It makes it a horrible sequel. It's a good game, if it was just its own thing. And I think the last topic I want to cover is the let me think. The next thing I want to address is the movie-like genre of kind of games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, the new God of War games, like all of these games that want to have this kind of traversal and mechanics and these boring ass gameplay sections. All this shit. The movie-like games. I can't remember who I heard say that at first, but I saw it on a video. I can't tell you if somebody comments what it is, who first said that, the movie-like genre, who named it or whatever, but the movie-like genre of game, I'll credit it if I find out who it was, but that is such a detriment to gaming. It completely removes player agency. It's the worst thing that has happened to gaming in the past 2 decades. The worst thing. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment. I'd like to see what, you guys had to say. This is probably like my first video on the channel, so, that's whatever. It's completely unscripted. I just wanted to get this out there, my thoughts, because I've been thinking about this a lot, so, I just wanted to get this out there. And by the way, I really like this series, and I want to see them do better. I wanted this game to be good, and that's why I kept playing it. So, by the way, I completed the game. And I've done some of the side content too, so it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, just don't buy the game, just watch it.